I am Ray, and if you're tired of being alone or attracting the wrong people, it's not your fault. And so today, you will learn why you are stuck and how to break free. But no matter what happens, we still love you. There. Today I will be your love doctor. Let us begin the procedure. Let us begin with the basics, shall we? Everything is energy. And attraction emerges from polarity. Simply put, opposite energies attract. Because everything is energy, all is one, and all separation is an illusion. Which means, for instance, the opposite energies of negative and positive are actually nothing but two opposites of the same one thing. So, when these two things are seemingly separated from each other, they naturally have the pull back toward unity. And you could say that this is the whole reason we live on this planet, as spiritual beings having a human experience. So when you think about things like soul flames or twin flame, what a twin flame is, it's like two puzzle pieces that go perfectly together because the energy of each individual brings one another closer to wholeness, closer to unity. So for instance, if you are a water type, it's easy to attract a fire type because these energies help complete each other. Now we can look at it like, well, we probably have multiple soul partners, meaning there are a certain number of people on the planet whose energy vibrates in alignment with ours. So I wouldn't get caught up so much with, I gotta find the one. There are many fish in this ocean, my friend. Just relax. Now look, because everything is one, because everything is energy, we are all connected. Which means that you are already connected to your soul partner. In one form or another. You are tethered together with, well, everybody, but even more so, those who are an energetic match. What I have come to find, not in romantic relationships, but naturally, I have been very good at detecting patterns. And I see that I come into contact almost like it's the same person in different bodies. It's not the same person, but it's the same energy. And if you pay close attention, you'll see this to be true. That is why sometimes you may attract the same toxic partner over and over again. It's the same person, just in a different body. The same energy, I mean. And we will discover how to stop doing that. But just a few basics. What this implies is that you will always attract people who are an energetic match to you. So, if you feel like you are attracting the wrong people, or if you're not attracting anybody, what needs to happen is that you need to change your energy.
Help me, I'm being held hostage. Tell them you're happy. Tell them you're happy.
Sorry, that wasn't very romantic of me. Become the source of what you seek. Because this is a basic way of how we create our reality. Who we are determines the way we act, which determines what we receive. So, what do we want? Love. When do we want it? Now. But you see, the problem is, most people are stuck on this side of the equation, and they ignore this. So, we want love, but then we believe that, oh, we have to go out and get love. So we force things to be the way we want it to be. And this is why people get in the same toxic relationships over and over again. This is why relationships fail. Because it doesn't matter what you do, it matters who you are. And where a lot of people get tripped up is that, well, they can't take responsibility for their lives. They always gotta blame the other person for why their life is the way it is. This person did this thing to me. But it is who you be that is the cause of what you have. So if you want something different, you have to become someone different. Which means you have to take responsibility if you actually want to get what you say you want. Now let's address the first problem. First of all, if you don't love yourself, you will never attract love. you will only attract other people who do not love themselves. And if you do attract somebody who loves themselves, you will sabotage that relationship. Because deep down, you will feel like you are unworthy. And so unconsciously, you will destroy the relationship because you get what you are. That is a lack of love. So the most important thing to receive love is that you must become love. And actually, you don't need to become love because that is already the true nature of what you are. You simply don't realize that you are love, and so you have been cut off from it. So you want to cultivate self-love, which means behaving in loving ways toward yourself. And you know how much you love yourself based on how many self-destructive habits you have. Okay, so let's go through a few. Do you drink alcohol? And I don't mean like you have 1 glass of wine a week. I mean you drink alcohol. Do you do drugs? Do you smoke weed on a daily basis? Or worse, other drugs? Do you have other addictions? Do you vape? What about video games? Hold on, I gotta feed my cat. Are you addicted to social media? How about pornography? Or just sex? What else is there? Cigarettes, ciggy-wets, however you spell it. Do you like to stuff your face with food? I mean, let's be honest, okay. You will know if you overindulge in any of these things. Don't lie to yourself, or else you'll attract other people who lie to you. And look, it doesn't matter if you get in a relationship. These things are always going to hinder your life. They're going to hinder your relationships. You might think, oh, I can get away with it. I can get away with it. I can have a few beers. I can have a few beers. No, you don't realize the effect it's having on your life. And your partner cannot respect you if you can't control yourself. And 2, you will probably attract another person with their own addictions, their own troubles. Now, everybody's got troubles, okay? Don't make it harder on yourself. Fix yourself first before you worry about trying to be with another person. Because when 2 people are unhealthy, they come together and make a mess, and not in a good way. So you end up wasting your time. You end up hurting each other's feelings. You end up fighting, becoming traumatized, when you could just focus on yourself, and then you could have the life of your dreams. Of course, you have to delay gratification a bit, but that is why people suffer so much. They can't stand being alone for 5 seconds. I can't be alone. I need somebody. I need somebody. Look. Chill. For God's sake. Because if you have a strong need to be with somebody, what does that say about you and your energy? That you are in a state of lack and scarcity. Therefore, you will act in a way that causes you to have more lack and scarcity. So, what does this look like? It means that every relationship you get in, you will push the other person away. Because lack, scarcity, neediness is repulsive energy. So no matter what you do, no matter how many relationships you go in, no matter how hard you try to make it work, even if you have good intentions, you do your best. I thought I did all the right things. I had my list of things that I should have done, and I did them, but I still got this. I still got nothing. They still left me. Why? Because you cannot operate from lack and receive abundance. Again, that's where everybody goes wrong. They think they need to do the right things. You don't need to do the right things. You need to be the right person. Because if you're the wrong person, it doesn't matter what you do. And again, if you're the right person, it doesn't matter what you do. Because if you're the right person, you'll do the right things, and if you're the wrong person, you'll do the wrong things. I heard a great quote the other day. Successful people don't try to succeed any more than failures try to fail. It's automatic, because what you do stems from who you are. And look, as Carl Jung said, if you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. What does this look like? It looks like you get in a relationship with the wrong person, and then now you find yourself a slave to a life you didn't choose. Whether you get married too young, whether you have children too soon, that is the kind of things that happen if you don't slow down and think about what you're doing. And it is precisely because people are needy that we jump into relationships too soon, that we react rather than respond to life. And guess what? The moment you cultivate self-love, you'll stop needing a relationship. You'll stop needing love because you are the source of love. This is the truth. So any attempts to try to find love outside of yourself is you living a lie. It's you living in separation. The true nature of reality is that love is abundant. Love is infinite. So if you believe that you do not have love, you are not living in harmony with the truth. All scarcity and lack is an illusion. It does not exist. We believe it to exist because of who we believe we are. We live from our senses alone, and our senses tell us there is no love. Where is this love in which you speak? It's all around you, everywhere, forever and always. But you will not experience it until you get tapped in. And the one thing preventing you from being tapped into Source, to love, to peace, joy, and abundance, is nothing but your own thoughts. The only prison in existence is your mind. And this prison is made up of thoughts, and you are the jailer. What is the thought? It is the belief in lack and scarcity. It is your belief in separation. It is your belief in illusion. Now that which separates us from love is conditioning. You could say trauma, you can say negative memory, and all of the memory that we've accumulated in this life, good and bad, that becomes ego. And that gives us a sense of personal identity. It gives us the sense of an individual self. The problem is, well, separation is an illusion. Everything is energy. We are all one. So the ego is an illusion. So long as we believe ourselves to be the ego, we are living in illusion. That is separation. And so how does this look? It looks like I need love because I am in lack and scarcity. So I need to get love from you. And if you don't give love to me, then I'm going to be upset. And that is why the divorce rate is 60+%. Because most relationships are nothing more than transactional. I want something from you, and you want something from me. And so long as I get what I want from you, I'll give you a little bit of what you want, maybe. There is no love. Marriage, for most people, is but business. And a terrible business at that. The man says, well, I'll give you money if you give me sex. And the woman says, well, okay, let's get married. And then once they get married, the woman says, oh, well, I got all your stuff, so no more sex. You see, true love is rare nowadays because people don't work on themselves. You know, people just wing it. They wing life. And the fact is that you will always be the bottleneck to your experiences, meaning all of your problems, all of your struggles, all of your difficulties will stem from you. Now, it's not your fault. We are all conditioned. We all experience trauma. We all have negative memory. So it's not your fault that things happen to you. But if you want to live the life of your dreams, if you want to have the partner you've always dreamed of, then we have to do something about it. And we can't just keep going on business as usual. We can't just keep winging things. We have to live an intentional life. You see, and it is precisely these things that result in our self-destructive behavior. You see, because love is in all of us. But when we are separated from love, we experience a lack of love. And a lack of love is self-destruction. Because you cannot destroy something and love it at the same time. Our conditioning, our trauma, our negative memory, our ego is like a dark cloud that blocks out the light of the sun. It creates separation from the sun. And the sun is the divine essence of God within you, within all beings. And the divine essence of God, its radiance, your radiance, is love, peace, joy, abundance. It is the source of life itself. That is the nature of God. And so it is precisely our separation from God that keeps us from love. We go through life placing all the burdens upon ourselves, upon this little ego of who we believe we are. And so we think, oh, I have to go out and find love. I have to go out and get money. I have to go out and do this. It's all on me. I am the one responsible for everything. It's not that you are responsible for everything. You are responsible for becoming the one who has everything you want, who naturally engages in the right things. And the only thing that is required is that we reconnect to the source, the divine essence of God within all of us. Because once you connect to this, you no longer need anything from anybody. You don't need love, you don't need peace, you don't need joy. Sometimes people just stop living altogether because they have everything they need. What are you going to do when you're immersed in the bliss of God? That is why, for instance, if you've ever heard Eckhart Tolle's story, he sat on park benches for like 3 years doing nothing because he was so happy. Ah, wonderful, wonderful. Now, not everybody is going to experience that, but the point is, the only reason that we feel like we need love is because we are separated from the source of love within ourselves. And by tapping back into the source of love, that which we have forgotten, we no longer feel like we need love, but we become the source of love, and therefore we attract love into our lives because we act in loving ways, and so we receive love. But that which keeps us from this love is our conditioning, our trauma, our negative memory. And so if you don't want to get caught in the trap that over 90% of people get trapped in, living a life they don't desire, stuck in an unhappy marriage or relationship, always attracting the same people, always alone, then all that is required is that you take a little bit of time and self-reflect. Embark on a journey of self-discovery. Begin understanding why your life is the way it is. Why do you have the things you currently have? Well, it is because you've been behaving in a certain way. Why have you been behaving in a certain way? It's because of the nature of who you are. Simply put, you have what you have because you have been who you have been. And you can have more because you can be more than you currently are by removing all of the things that are keeping you from greatness, that are keeping you from love. Life is a process not of adding things, but of removal. Now, what will happen? People. Now, what will happen is that whatever trauma you have, you will attract people who are aligned with that trauma. In other words, you'll attract people who are a reflection of that trauma. So, if you want to know whether or not someone is relationship material, all you have to do is 2 things. Ask them these 2 questions subtly, not too obvious. You ask them, how is your relationship with your father? And the second question is, how is your relationship with your mother? If they reply negatively to either of these 2 questions, run away, because they have a whole bunch of baggage that they're about to drop over your head. These people who have negative relationships with their parents cannot sustain a healthy relationship. It's not possible. I'm sorry, it just cannot happen. Because they will secretly resent in you whatever they resent in their mother or father. And you don't even have to ask these questions. Just see how they behave around their parents. The moment you see any red flags, you get out of there. Because these people are not relationship material. And if you are one of these people, if you have a negative relationship with your father or mother, you should not be in a relationship. Because you will destroy it and hurt other people and hurt yourself. This is a non-negotiable. If you want to attract true love, you have to heal your relationship with your parents. Otherwise, you will keep getting caught in the same toxic relationships because you will attract people who expose that trauma. Now, if you are oriented towards self-reflection, if you're on a journey of self-discovery, of improving yourself, you can use other people as a mirror to reflect upon yourself. So even if you do have some trauma, it's not that you have to abstain from relationships for years until you get your stuff together. But you have to have the right attitude, the right mindset. Most people, they don't think about themselves. Well, that's wrong. They think about themselves. They don't reflect on them. They don't reflect. But they don't reflect. You see, we will always attract the exact right person at the exact right time, at the exact right place. Not because it's some mystical thing, but it's because reality, the universe, existence, it's one divine intelligence evolving itself forward through an infinite array of different forms. And so from our little perspective as the forms, here we are living in separation, just wondering how everything works. Wow, strange. But from the higher perspective, the divine intelligence of the universe can set up an infinite array of different situations that help the individual forms return back to unity, return back to wholeness. For example, you can have, let's say, a problem in your family. And this problem can be the exact problem that 5, 6, 9, 20 people, the exact problem that 20 people need to help them grow. And it will be exactly perfect. Exactly what they needed at the exact right time for each separate individual. Think about a thing like COVID. As the individual forms, we were like, oh no, bad. But the divine intelligence of the universe says, no, this is exactly what the collective consciousness needs at this moment. So all the individuals on the planet use that experience for their highest spiritual growth, whether they realize it or not. So you cannot help but attract the exact people you need. And the moment you can wake up to this fact, to realize that everybody in your life is a mirror reflection of you, because we are all one, then you can begin seeing, why am I attracting this person? What is it about me that is resulting in the life that I have? And once you begin reflecting on these things, you can begin changing yourself. You can see, well, do I want to continue living this life? What is the life that I want? Can I have the life that I want? Well, yes, you can. You just have to align yourself with it. And so, what I encourage you to do, whenever you get the chance, and maybe you've already done it, who is your dream partner? Write it out. Think about it. What is their personality traits? What do they look like? What is their hair like? What is their eye color? What is their energy? Describe this person as best as you can. And whatever you describe them as, there is an exact person who will fit that description. Because you would not be able to describe them realistically if there was not. Because you're attracted to people who are an energetic match to you. But here's the thing. This partner is the ideal. But you may not be aligned with the ideal yourself yet. In other words, the person you describe is a reflection of the ideal version of you, not necessarily who you are right now. So once you discover who your dream partner is, the next step is becoming the source of what you seek. And the way you do this is, well, the main thing you want to focus on is what is their energy like. So you describe who they are, all the good stuff, but then pay attention to their energy. This is how you know what they look like, how you'll know them when you see them. This is how to automatically attract them into your life. And it's quite simple. We don't need to overcomplicate things. There's masculine energy and there's feminine energy. Polarities attract. So to become the source of what you seek, you must understand the energy of the person you want to attract. The more feminine person you want to attract, the more masculine you must become. And the more masculine person you want to attract, the more feminine you must become. Doesn't matter if you're a man, doesn't matter if you're a woman. These will be the most invigorating relationships, the most attractive energy. Whereas if you're depolarized, if you're at the center, you will also attract somebody else who is at the center. The only problem with this is that there won't be the same attractive energy. In other words, the masculine and the feminine will have a strong desire to return to unity. You know what that means. But the depolarized individuals will not. They will not have the same desire. And so you have to ask yourself, do I want a relationship with strong desire? What do I want out of the relationship? So you have to get clear on what you want. Why you're even going about this in the first place. Because you may just want to have a family. You may want to just be chill. Because a relationship with a strong masculine and feminine may be hot and heavy. That doesn't mean they can sustain a relationship for the long term. But you see, no matter what, whatever partner you attract, you can use them as a mirror image to reflect upon yourself. So most people, the foolish ones, they use relationships to get something. To get love, to get money, to get sex, whatever. They use relationships to get. And the wise use relationships to grow. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether the relationship works out. It doesn't matter if you get married. It doesn't matter if it lasts 3 days. If you can use every person you meet to reflect upon yourself, you can grow through any relationship and come out better than you did going into it. And if you continue growing, you will continue attracting better and more high quality partners. Because the higher quality that you are, the higher quality things you will receive. And just a quick note, if you want a feminine partner, you have to rid yourself of the feminine thoughts, the feminine behaviors in yourself. If you want a masculine partner, you have to rid yourself of the masculine behaviors and masculine thoughts in yourself. And what I mean by getting rid of is not throwing them in the trash. It's putting them down. In other words, you can have a balance of masculine to feminine. That's okay. It's actually encouraged because we're all returning to wholeness, the balance of energy. But to attract a partner that you desire, you must emphasize either the masculine or the feminine. If you want a feminine partner as a man, the more you go towards this side, which means, well, in a relationship, one person always has to play one role. And whatever role that you play, they will play the opposite. So for instance, thinking about the other person all the time. Here's how to know if your partner is going to cheat on you as a man without even needing to know anything about the other person. If you are thinking about them all the time, if as a man you're always thinking about the woman, she is thinking about herself, or she is thinking about another man. Because that's just the way that energy works. One person is always going to be trying to get the other person's attention more. So, as a man, you do not want to be thinking about the relationship, because that is the feminine's job. So if you're always thinking about the woman, you are entering into your feminine. So you will only attract a more masculine partner. A more masculine partner whose energy is she's thinking about herself, or she's thinking about a more masculine man. And so if as a man you want to have a successful relationship, for God's sake, you have to think about improving yourself, improving your own life. What are your goals? What are your dreams? She doesn't want you to be thinking about her. And go ahead, try to think about the girl all the time. You will soon find that she either cheats on you or is just repulsed by you. Because that is just the nature of energy. Energy is either attraction or repulsion. needing. One person will need the other person more. So you have to ask yourself, as a man, if you feel like you need your woman, she will feel less like she needs you. And if you as a man feel like you need your woman less, she will feel like she needs you more. I don't make the rules. That's the nature of energy. Whatever energy you embody, the other person will embody the opposite. Same with chasing. The more you chase the woman, the more she runs away. The less you chase the woman, the more she chases you. Now that's just a quick example. Let's go through for all the women out there who want a successful relationship. Well, first, both you guys got to know what you want. But in terms of polarity, if you want a masculine partner, you move toward this side, which means that, well, completely ignore all of this mainstream garbage, because the mainstream garbage is designed to destroy relationships. If you want to be the leader, if you want to be in control, well then guess what? You're going to attract a submissive male, and you're going to resent him, and you can use him as a little slave if you want. But you will never be attracted to a man like that. I promise you that. This is why it is important to be capable of both masculine and feminine tendencies, regardless if you're a man or a woman. Because as a woman, you want to be submissive for the right man, but you want to be aggressive toward anybody who is not. You don't want to submit. The last thing in the world that you want to do is submit to the wrong man, because that can easily destroy your life. So you have to have boundaries, which is a masculine trait. You have to say no. But if you are so hardened, then when the right man comes along, you won't be open to receive. And as a man, if you don't have the ability to be loving, to be caring, to be empathetic, you will destroy your relationship. That is why women like bad guys, because they have that dark masculine energy. But the problem is that, well, it's not healthy. So that relationship goes out the window. Women want a man who behaves in a masculine way, but who is also capable of being kind and caring. And men want a feminine woman who is capable of completely submitting to him, but also at the same time being able to say no to everyone else. Because a woman isn't worth much if she says yes to everybody. In terms of relationship, we're all God's children. We're all loved. Joking. And another one. Career. Look, whether you're a man or a woman, a career is a masculine thing. Sorry. It's not bad. It's not wrong. The problem is, don't let the world fool you that you can have a career and also have a family. Because everything we focus on in this life comes at a cost. We can only focus on one thing at a time. So if you focus on a career, you're going to neglect your family at least a little bit. And if you're going to focus on a family, you're going to neglect a career. And if you try to do this half-assed thing, where you try and do both, you will both fail in your career and family. So don't do it. Go ahead, try. I'm not stopping you. I'm just saying, to be successful requires focus. You can do this, or you can have a family. But that's why you have to get clear on what you want. Because if you're clear on what you want, there's no problem here. But what happens to a lot of women is that they are manipulated into believing that they don't need to have this family, and I don't need no man, and I can focus on my career and get this money. And then before you know it, it's too late. Women have a biological clock that men do not have. Men can start a family whenever. You could start a family at 90 years old if you want. That is why, in a way, women have to grow up more quickly. So prepare for the future. And take into consideration your future self. Because I guarantee you, no woman wants to be 50 years old alone, where it's too late. And the unfortunate thing is that The man's value increases with age and the woman's value decreases. That's just the way it goes. Because in relationships, a woman's value is about beauty. It's about youth. It's about health. Being able to bear children. And the older you get, the more difficult it is to bear children. But for the man is valued for his resources. So when he's young, he has no resources. But as he gets older, he gains more and more and more, so he becomes higher value. And this is important because, well, women, you gotta kind of figure it out a bit early. You can have your fun, but you gotta figure out pretty quick if you're gonna focus on your career, if you're gonna focus on making money, or if you're gonna focus on family. Because, well, if you play your cards right, you can get with the right man who's gonna take care of everything. You don't have to worry about any of that. But if not, the burden is placed upon you. But just know that money isn't really worth anything. Money is backed by belief. That's the only value it has. But family is the most meaningful thing in most people's lives. Just take that into consideration. Enough of the rant. You see, regardless if you're a man or a woman, the surefire way to get your dream partner is to become your dream partner. Not like a trans person. I mean the opposite. Become the source of what you seek. And even this, it doesn't matter how old you are. Whether you're an older woman or an older man or a young man. This is universally applicable and will get you success. What is this, you might ask? Exercise. Keep your body healthy. Just do it. Diet. You don't need to do anything crazy. Stop eating foods you know that are unhealthy. Just stop it. Exercise your mind. Read a few books every once in a while, for God's sake. Write out your thoughts. Do some journaling. How about that? Work on your social skills. Because, well, a relationship, your success is determined by how well you can relate to others. Basic self-improvement things. You already know you need to do this. The question then becomes, well, do you want to settle? To what degree? Let's look at it this way. There's time and there's desire. Desire goes from you want it now to you can wait. So that will determine basically whether or not you settle. If you just want it now, well, you can have a lesser version of whatever relationship you want. But if you can wait, you can have a higher quality relationship than what you can now. Now this, I just realized, is only applicable to men. It's actually the opposite for women. For women, you will decide what is your desire for having a family. For men, it's a relationship. For women, it's family. So, the quicker you decide that you want a family, the higher quality man you can possibly get. Because your youth is what is valuable. So the quicker you decide, the higher quality man you can receive. And the more you wait, the lower quality man you'll have to settle for. That's just the way it goes. Now this isn't really relevant to an older woman, and that's okay. You can still attract your twin flame, your dream partner, because there is already somebody out there perfect for you. Doesn't matter how old you are, but I go through this because it's a very easy pitfall for people to fall down. In other words, men, they just want a relationship now, they need it, so they settle. And women, they just want to have fun, they want to have party, and so they settle down the road after they've had all their fun. And so, for people of any age, here are the steps to finding love, to being in a relationship, to no longer spending your nights alone. First, you get clear on what you want. What does this mean? A few things. First of all, what does your future look like? What do you want for your future? What kind of life do you want to live? Because you have to decide, well, do I want a family or do I not? Can I have a family or can I not? Have I already had a family? What do I want to do for the rest of my life, or at least the next 10 years? And once you kind of understand what you want to do with your life, then you can see where a relationship fits into that. So for instance, if you want to travel the world, you either want a partner who you can travel the world with, or you want to travel alone and meet new people in the places you go. And in that case, well, you don't want a long-term relationship. So the question is, do you want a short-term or a long-term relationship? What are you looking for? If you're a girl in your early 20s, you probably want a short-term relationship. If you don't want a family. And if you want a family, you want to look for a long one. That didn't come out the way I wanted it to. You get the idea though. And if you're a man in your early 20s, I can't tell you what to do. Avoid it. Avoid this. In fact, avoid this too. Avoid relationships altogether. Life for a man doesn't start until he's 28. Don't even bother. As a man, just work on your career. Focus on money. Because the women you want don't like you yet. And if you're in your early 30s or 40s, whatever, as a man, well then you can decide, well, do you want to just live your life or do you want to settle down? Again, short-term or long-term. And once you understand this, you know what kind of partner you want to attract. So you get clear on who you want. Because, well, a lady whose short-term relationship material is much different than a lady whose long-term material. So you want to get clear on their personality. And it's okay. Don't allow society to guilt trip you into doing something you don't want to do. Doesn't matter if you want a short-term relationship, doesn't matter if you want a long one. Ask yourself and be honest. What do you want? Even if people might say, well, you want the wrong thing. People don't know what's good for you. And oftentimes, most of the time, we don't know what's even good for ourselves. So at least for now, be clear on what you want. Be clear on who you want. And develop a vision for the future. Then, once you kind of understand the personality, the energy of who you want to be with, then you begin becoming the source of what you seek and embodying the opposite energy while at the same time optimizing yourself. So if you want a feminine partner, you become a more masculine man, which means you start stopping all of the feminine behavior. What does this look like? Simple. Focus on yourself, on your business, on your career, money, self-mastery, discipline, working out. Go watch some Andrew Tate. And if you want a masculine partner, focus on loving yourself, self-care, self-love, inner healing. Sure, the man needs to do this too, but acceptance, surrender, service. Become a kind and loving person. 2 peas in a pod. Now the most important step, perhaps. In fact, I would make the claim that it is the most important step. It's called asking. Run out of battery. As they say, closed mouths don't get fed. In order to receive, you must ask. And a lot of people have trouble asking. But you have to have balls, okay? Gotta have some balls. And say, stand on your own 2 feet and say, this is what I want. I don't care what anyone thinks. Because a lot of people are afraid that what they want is not right. Whereas, maybe I can't have it. Well, yeah, if you don't ask, you can't have it. And I don't mean go out and ask a partner. I mean ask God. Ask the universe. Ask life. Because guess what? Life itself is attempting to return to wholeness, to return to perfection. So it wants to support you unconditionally. And whatever might bring that about, God supports your journey. God only knows the word yes. We live in an attraction-based universe. What does this mean? It means that energy is the force of creation. Our mind is a tool that directs the flow of energy. Where attention goes, energy flows. And so we create more of what we focus on. So if you say, I'll never find a partner, the universe says yes. If you say, I always fail in relationships, yes. If you always say, nobody ever loves me, yes. You do not believe what you see. You see what you've already chosen to believe. It's called the reticular activation system. No, RAT. R-A-S. Selective focus. This is why things like the law of assumption exist. Because what you assume to be true will be true for you. And science has already proven this with a little something called the placebo effect. Your belief changes the way you experience reality, which is why it doesn't matter what you think is true. What matters is what you choose to focus on. So, which is why people who live from their senses alone are a slave, because they only focus their attention on things that are right in front of their face. Which is why in the Bible it said, for those who have, more will be given, and for those who have not, even what little they have will be taken. Because we create more of what we focus on. If you're born into poverty, you will only create more poverty until you wake up and say, I don't want to live in poverty anymore. You will continue having toxic relationships. You will continue being alone until you say, I don't want this anymore. So if you want more love, you begin focusing more on love. If you don't want to be alone, you start focusing more on others. Not just in a romantic or a relationship way, but in general. If you want abundance, focus on the abundance that you already have. Because if you say, I am loved, God says, yes, you are. And that is the reality you will create. If you say, I always attract the best partners, the universe will say, yes, you do. And that is the reality you will create. It doesn't matter what you think is true with your senses, what the evidence shows you. You create your reality. And if you don't want to create reality, well, reality will be created for you. And you will call it fate. If you say, I can easily attract my dream partner, well then that is the reality you will experience. But it's not enough to just say the words once. You must implant those ideas into your unconscious. Otherwise, you will not attract it. Because think about it this way. Who we are, our identity, is a combination of unconscious identity and conscious identity. Meaning the person we believe ourselves to be and the person our body believes ourselves to be. Our unconscious is the intelligence of our body. So we have an unconscious identity and a conscious identity. And our unconscious speaks the language of feelings, and our conscious speaks the language of patterns. This, you will soon understand why you attract the wrong people. It is very, very simple. Our unconscious is always paying attention, but when we feel a strong emotion towards something, our unconscious takes a snapshot of whatever information created that feeling. So imagine like a vinyl record. The information is the song on the vinyl record, but the feeling is the groove that imprints the song onto the vinyl. In other words, the feelings are what create memory stored in our body. The memory that is the information. So what happens is that we react to our experiences, and those reactions create certain feelings. So, if in relationships you have continuously got burned, in other words, they fail miserably, you continue to have negative feelings around the pattern of relationships. That negative information gets stored into your body, and you will perpetually continue the cycle of toxic relationships. There's nothing you can do about it, because your unconscious identity transcends your conscious identity. Which is why you see people, consciously they say, I don't like toxic relationships. I don't want this. But then they always find themselves in the exact same thing that they say they don't want. Because their unconscious is in control. Because the unconscious is hundreds of millions of years old, while our conscious, more human mind is only a few million. Imagine an elephant and an elephant rider. walking through the forest. For most people, the elephant is just pulling them all over the place, and they're just along for the ride. The elephant is the unconscious, and the person on top of the elephant is the conscious. And so, if you fundamentally have a negative identity around relationships, no matter how hard you try to find the right person, you will always revert back to the default. And that is the source of all self-sabotage. When you try to consciously do the right thing, no matter what you do, you will revert to what your body says, because the purpose of the body is survival. And the body wants familiar. It wants the known. And if the familiar and the known is negative, it will keep you stuck in negative. Because the devil that you know is safer than the devil that you don't. Which is why, from the beginning, we said, well, if you have a bad relationship with your parents, there's trauma in the body. And so you will have a negative relationship to masculine energy or to feminine energy. And that trauma will cause you to act in ways that are unhealthy, that are imbalanced, and it will create problems in your life. So in order to receive healthy relationships, you must reprogram the unconscious identity. Now you will know if there is a problem in your unconscious, if what you receive in your outer environment is not what you want. That is why the unconscious rules our life, and we chalk it up to fate, because it has been directing us all along. We just weren't aware of it. Life just happens and we say, oh, this is happening to me. What do I do? We react, and we're kind of just drowning in the ocean of life. In order to go in the way we want, we have to train that elephant. And here's how not to do that. Here's how to train it the wrong way. You see, the unconscious is blind. It's a void. So it doesn't know anything other than the information that we feed it. So when the unconscious is listening to our every word, to our every thought, it's trying to paint a picture. It's trying to understand, okay, how do I make it so I can keep this thing alive? I mean, your body doesn't know if it's human or a dinosaur. It just knows survival, reproduction, relationships. And so it creates meaning by the meaning that we give it. So what happens is that, okay, you got burned by a relationship. And instead of moving on, instead of learning from it, you continue to ruminate on how that person did you wrong. And so because, well, when somebody does you wrong, it's a risk to your survival. You had negative feelings, so your unconscious says, okay, well, we got to pay attention to this. We got to pay attention to this. Anytime this thing tries to get into a relationship with others, there's danger. There's risk. There's always problems. They're always struggling. So let's force them to always focus on that so that they can play it safe. So that they're ready for the next time the next problem comes. Which is why when you're always thinking about problems, when you're always talking about problems, problems always come into your life. Which is why when you think your partner is cheating and you begin thinking about it and you begin ruminating on it all the time, your partner cheats on you. And then you say, I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. You did not know it. You forced it to happen unconsciously. So I guess it wasn't force. It was accidental. And look, it's not your fault. We all go through negative experiences. Don't run away from your feelings. But realize that things happen to us because of the things we do, because of who we are. Think about if a person cheats on you, right? We like to feel betrayed. We say, okay, yep, they're a bad person. I'm a good person. I did nothing wrong. They're bad. Well, look, there are two fundamental ways that it was your fault. Sorry. That you created it unconsciously. First of all, and this is why I always blame the man for a relationship. If your wife cheats on you, or your girlfriend, first of all, the first mistake you may have made was you got with the wrong person. Meaning that you didn't have the clarity, you didn't have the awareness to pick the right person in the first place. But then the second mistake was that we didn't recognize all of our behavior that caused that person to react to us in that way. Because, think about it practically, If a relationship is going perfectly, if both people are happy, why would either one ruin it for no reason? The only reason people cheat is because they're not happy. Or because that's just who they are. Maybe that's what turns them on. And I don't say this to blame you. I say this because it is only until we take responsibility that we can avoid ever having these tragedies happen. Birds. So here's what we do, okay? Information, pattern is relationships. And right now, you can think about this. Think about this word, relationships. And whichever memories pop up naturally will determine if you have an unconscious negative identity or not. In other words, when you think about relationships, the memory will either be negative or it will be positive. And all this means is that you have had more negative experiences with relationships than positive. So you have had more negative feelings about relationships than positive. So all we have to do to naturally avoid ever getting in a negative relationship again is change the feeling attached to the information. In other words, we rewrite the song in the vinyl record because the song is not a good one. And when we can change that feeling associated with that information, that is relationships, the unconscious will always focus your attention toward the positive. Therefore, it will not evoke a fear or anxiety response around relationships. Because the only reason, for instance, if you're afraid that they might cheat, if you're worrying about the relationship, is this going to work out? Is this a problem? The only reason there's anxiousness around relationships is because there's a negative unconscious identity. Because the fear, the anxiety, the worry is a survival response. So it has to keep you focused on that. And so we have to tell the unconscious, no, I am somebody whose relationships always work out. I always attract the best people. There's nothing to worry about. There's no threat here. And once you remove the threat that the unconscious believes there is, it stops hijacking your life and ruining it. It stops sabotaging your relationships. Because guess what? If you had conscious control, you wouldn't be sabotaging your relationships. We sabotage them unconsciously. We're forced to do it. And we can't do anything about it until we reprogram our unconscious. And so too, if you're alone, if you have no relationships, the same thing applies. How does this work? Well, we can't change our feelings directly. We only have control over two things in this life. That is, our conscious thoughts and our conscious actions. Thank God, we only have control over these two things. Nothing else. Nothing else in life we have any control over. So this simplifies everything very nicely. So, if you want to start feeling differently, you either have to start thinking differently or start behaving differently. And ideally both. Let's do thoughts, because this is the easiest thing to do. Now, there's a little something called brainwave states. And a brainwave is an electrical impulse in the brain. And how fast those electrical impulses vibrate will determine your state of consciousness. So the states of consciousness are delta, deep sleep, theta, dream sleep or deep meditation, alpha state, awake and relaxed, beta state, awake and alert, and the gamma state, but we're not going to worry about that. What we want to focus on is this idea. Remember that sense of separation that we discussed? That everything is one? Well, that sense of separation is created by our brainwaves. It's created by the mind. So you could say that the quality of our mind is determined by the vibration of those brain waves. The faster the brain waves vibrate, the stronger the sense of separation, which is why right now you can look around in your room and anybody who's around you, and you can say, well, yes, I am separate from you, you are separate from me, we are all separate, and every object in the room is separate from me. Of course, that is an illusion, because everything on the earth is made up of the same stardust. Billions of years ago, a star exploded in the universe and created our solar system. So everything is energy, just vibrating at different rates. The point is that separation is like a wall between the unconscious and the conscious. You see, the reason that children learn so fast is because their brains cannot produce high levels of alpha or beta brainwaves. So their brains are highly malleable. In the beta state, it's like active learning, meaning you're studying for a test. You're actively learning, you're focused. Whereas theta is like passive learning. You passively receive information into the unconscious and it gets recorded. Which is why most of our conditioning happens by the age of like 7 or 8 years old. And which is why as we get older, it's more and more difficult to change. It's more and more difficult to learn things. Because we lose access in the waking state to theta. When we're children, the theta state is our natural waking state. But as we get older, that natural waking state becomes alpha and beta. So we're more solidified in our identity, and it becomes difficult to change. But we did not lose the ability for passive learning. It just became overwritten with active learning, with these higher brainwave states. And why this is so important is because as we go into sleep at night, the portal to the unconscious opens, and we can directly reprogram our unconscious mind without needing such strong feelings. Whereas, well, the reason that shouting affirmations in the mirror doesn't always work, because, as Neville Goddard said, feeling is the secret. If we want to change the unconscious, we have to speak its language of feelings. And you see, thoughts evoke emotional states. So first, the 2 ways to change our life, to change our relationship. We'll go through the reprogramming our unconscious mind directly, and then what we can do during the waking state. So, make this into a routine, my friend. Every morning and every night, the first thing you do when you wake up and the last thing you do before you go to bed at night, you will be in the theta state and low alpha, which is the easiest state to reprogram your unconscious mind. So the first thing you do and the last thing you do is you find a set of affirmations, whichever ones are natural, whichever ones feel right to you. Let's choose this one for now. I love myself. Because if you want to receive love, you must become love. You must cultivate love from within. So in this theta state, you repeat this over and over and over and over and over again. And this isn't that hard because, well, in the morning time, we love to stay in bed. So I am encouraging you to stay in bed, sleep in a little bit. But instead of just sleeping in the theta state, repeat these affirmations. I love myself, or you can say I love you while focusing your attention towards your body. I love you, I love you, I love you. Or I always attract the best relationships. I always attract the best relationships. You hammer that into your unconscious. If you gotta beat it into yourself, but be nice. Just do it. Your life will change very quickly. Trust me. I've ran out of room here. But write down the affirmations that work best for you. I love myself. I love you. I always attract the best relationships. I am loved. I attract my dream partner effortlessly. Play around. Have fun. Because the way we train this elephant is through repetition. Bam, bam, bam. So in the theta state, repeat those affirmations, and over time, your unconscious will be reprogrammed. And naturally, your outer reality will begin reflecting your inner reality. Because the inner reality and the outer reality are one. So once you make the changes within yourself, the outer reality will reflect to match those changes. Just be careful what thoughts you're programming into your unconscious. Now, the way we do this in the waking state, in alpha and beta, is that, well, we're going throughout our day naturally. We're going to have experiences regardless. You can't stop it. They're coming. So, what you do whether or not in a romantic way, every time you're around other people, every time you have a conversation with somebody, no matter what you feel, no matter what you think, at the end of the conversation, you walk away and you repeat in your mind, well, whatever affirmations you'd like. For instance, you could say something like, "Oh, an amazing, what an amazing conversation," even if it wasn't that big of a deal. Even if you just said hi to somebody for 5 seconds. Or, "What an amazing person. Wow. May they be blessed. Wow, I'm so great at being social. I love being social. I love being around others." If you talk to somebody you're attracted to, "Wow, I always attract the best people." Because in that moment where your experience brings forth the information, in this case relationships, all that is required is that you consciously repeat positive thoughts in that experience, and that will evoke positive feelings. But what happens with a lot of people is that they don't consciously live their lives. And so whatever programming was in them becomes the default. And what happens is that every time after a social situation or something, you might think, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I sounded stupid." Oh, you start ruminating on negative thoughts, which reaffirms a negative self-identity. And what matters more than anything is not necessarily what you say, but that you get in the habit of repeating positive affirmations. And the practice I love for this is called Ho'oponopono, which is simply repeating these 4 affirmations. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. These are perhaps the 4 most powerful affirmations there are. Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian practice designed to cleanse yourself of negative memory. One of the foundational pillars is that life is a reflection of us. So we don't have to go out into the world and try and fix things and try and do things. All we have to do is change who we are. We heal, we cleanse the imperfection in ourselves, and that cleanses the imperfection in our outer reality. And what happens is that when you get in the habit of repeating these affirmations, it causes your mind to be one focused. So not only are you raising your vibration through these positive thoughts, through this cleansing, through this healing, but you're also preventing any negative thoughts from festering. So you prevent any negative feelings from arising. So not only are you evoking more positive feelings more often, you're reprogramming your unconscious identity to be positive, and you're also preventing any new negativity from entering. And this will exponentially change your life, because it is easy to just say, "Okay, I'm not going to think of any other affirmations. I'm just going to repeat these 4. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." And you say this, you use this practice whenever something unfavorable happens to you, because we are acknowledging there is something in me that caused this misfortune. You're not blaming yourself. You're not beating yourself up. You're simply accepting, and you're choosing to bring harmony back into your life, because there was something in me that created the inharmony. And so if you have a negative thought about somebody else, or if you're ruminating on how somebody else betrayed you, you're ruminating on resentment, instead of allowing that negativity to snowball out of control, you simply repeat these affirmations in your head. And because our mind can only focus on one thing at a time, you begin cleansing that negativity. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Because holding resentment in your own mind is like holding a hot coal and expecting the other person to get burned. It's only hurting yourself. And that resentment that you hold will continue to destroy your future relationships. Because as they say, if you do not heal the wounds that others have caused, you will bleed all over people who had nothing to do with them. So you have to make the decision to heal yourself, to take responsibility, to choose to live a better life. And you can always split this in half, where if you have a positive experience, you might not need to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, please forgive me." You might just say, "Thank you, I love you." So you have a positive interaction with another person, and you say, "Thank you, I love you." thank you, I love you. Repeat it in your mind. And over time, you snuff out all negativity and you reprogram your unconscious mind to have a positive relationship with other people. And if you have a negative interaction, well, you do the same thing. You can either go through the whole thing or just say thank you, I love you, for showing me where I still need to work on myself. And when you're on a journey of self-discovery, of self-mastery, you learn more through negative experiences than you do through positive ones. So instead of beating yourself up and ruminating on the negativity and, oh, I'm so bad at this, No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens to you anymore. Because no matter what happens, you always come out on top. Because you're focused toward growth and you're not focused toward self-destruction. Because you realize, well, you can't put a fire out by pouring more gasoline on top of it. If you have a negative situation, you only make the situation worse by ruminating on negativity. The only logical thing to do about it is to transmute that negativity into positivity. And this is how you do it. And you see, the relationship you have with others is nothing other than the relationship you have with yourself. Meaning that if you learn to love yourself, if you can enjoy your own company, other people will also enjoy your company. But if you do not enjoy your own company, how can you expect anyone else to? That doesn't make any sense. And yet, you see this happen all the time. People hate being alone, so they force themselves to be around others. But then what happens? Well, eventually people get tired of them. Because you're giving off this needy, desperate energy. You're in taking mode. You're being selfish. And eventually people get tired of that. Which, well, you end up with the one thing you were trying to avoid, being alone. But when you can completely enjoy your own presence and you don't need anything from anybody, that is the most attractive energy. And so you will effortlessly attract people because people will want to be around you and you won't have to try. It's all about managing your energy. And the way we manage our energy at a fundamental level is through our unconscious, training that elephant with the conscious mind. Through our thoughts, changing our feelings, and at the end of the day, becoming the greatest version of ourselves. And in doing so, we can have the life of our dreams, our dream partner, anything that you desire in your life. Become the source of what you seek, and all will be yours. I am Ray. Visit my cool store. Much peace and many blessings, and remember, just be.